Hello and welcome to the Donny Chaingang with me, Matt Payne. We're live from the Full Speed Event Studios down in the old beer cellars once again, and we've got a cracking route lined up for you. Russ has been digging deep in his pockets into the route maps, and he's come out with an absolute blinder because he's pulled out another route in Mercury Islands, but on the new section. And as you can see, our riders are lined up and just starting to assemble, ready to head out onto the route. Now, this incorporates part of the route that we used on Tuesday, but we also take in just about every route of the link roads from the old parts of Mercury Island and Neokyo. So it's quite a complicated route, and it is going to need people to pay attention because it is going to cover some parts of the course 4 times, some parts of the course 8 times, and it's going to be quite tricky to work out where you are on that unless you pay attention to the end. Now, all of this, of course, is made possible thanks to the team, who are the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club. Thank you very much, guys, if you've donated and joined, and hopefully you're making the most of those discounts at 1080, OTE, Gritty, Veliskin, Halo. Got loads more coming, lots of support from Nonnas, and, of course, Continental as well. But it is 1080 month, and because of that, it is a month where we are going to be giving away, at some point during the month, 3 pairs, not 1, not 2, but 3 pairs of Oakleys. What sort, you say? Well, that's really easy. Whatever you want. Literally no limit. You can have any pair of Oakleys you want when you win. So, if you're one of our lucky winners, and there will be 3 winners of the membership whose names will be pulled at random on the random number generator, you will be able to choose. So you can have a set of Katos with a nose piece, you can have a set of Sutros, you can have a set of Raiders, whatever you fancy, set of frog skins, whatever, gas cans, you name it, you can get them. And you can have them engraved as well, so you can have whatever you want around the bottom. I've got a pair of, we say, Tour of Ireland from the year that Russ won, actually. So it shows you just how long we've been working with Oakley. And got to say, massive thank you to Ian Taylor and all of the team at 1080, because without them, we just couldn't do this giveaway. And it is a big, big thank you to the members of the DCG gang. So, on 1080 December, let's go across and show you where we're heading. Now, we said this was complicated. Russ has picked the route, and it is a little complicated. We come out of the pen. We then go around anti-clockwise on the nearest route to the central lake, or the central part of the sea. We then go on to the outer loop, and that means we go up the climb, the steep route, go down the way we came up, then we go around the outside loop, which will bring us back round to the start line. We're going to do this twice. So basically, we come out of the pen, we do 150 metres. We then go around the inner loop first. We then go on to the outer loop, up the big climb, and then drop back down again before coming back over the little bits of the island and come back in and round. So 2 full laps. That is a total of 35.95. Don't be fooled, though. There is off-road on here. There is on-road. This is going to be a real mix. Best bike today, reputed to be an aero bike because of the volume of high-speed roads that are here. There is some off-road, but it rolls pretty quickly. Now, the man in charge, of course, is Russ. Russ just joining us down on the line, and Russ going to be bringing the riders round. Remember, it is all about staying with that yellow beacon until that call is put in there. Now, Island Hopper, you finish at the virtual button. You will see it as you head out. It's about 150 metres. I can actually see it on our big screens here in the studio, but essentially 150 metres out from the pens, you'll see that, and then it will be 2 laps. We go around the inner circle, then the outer circle, then the inner circle, then the outer circle, and we finish at that point. Now, the man who's going to be sweeping at the back is the one and only Keith Richardson. Keith, one of our regular riders on the Chaingang, a regular helper at the back, whether he has or hasn't got that red jersey on his or isn't our red beacon. So a massive thank you to Keith for stepping up and taking on that role tonight. Won't be long, I'm sure, before he jumps in as well. Now, we did say that this was quite a complicated route. Let's bring you the Velo Viewer profile. Now, as you can see, we start on the far right-hand side. We go along the flat section to the 1K marker. We turn left across that horizontal roadway, which is where the finish was on Tuesday. We turn left again and stay left, so we have a little bit of a climb on the inside loop, and that is the section that brings you through from 4K. We drop back out into 5K to go around the baseline of the loop. We come back in, then we go from 6 to 7K up the inside again on that climb. So basically the inner loop has 2 little climbs on it. We then go on to our outer loop, which means we go up the big climb. That is 8K, 9K, right the way to 10K. We drop back down again on that long descent. That will bring us right the way around through 11, through 12K, all the way to 13 kilometers where we go right, and then we go around the outside loop, which brings us basically to the 14K marker around the outside without going onto that little inside loop. We then come round the baseline once again, going round the outside to the start. Then we do it all over again. Basically, dead easy, honest gov. Think inside loop, 2 short climbs, outside loop, 1 big climb, doing both loops, the inner and the outer loops, twice. That gives us a total of 35.95K. So our riders are going to be lined up and ready to go, hopefully down on our start line. You can see that the yellow beacon busy with the messaging. Quick reminder, of course, make sure, guys, you follow the instructions of the yellow beacon if you're watching live. If you don't know how this works, it's really easy. We start off nice and steady. The group follows the instructions of the yellow beacon. The yellow beacon leads the route, and that is Russ down in here. And Russ basically chooses how fast that will go. He will ramp that workout up and up and up, and at some point he will press the trigger and it will be a go, go, go. At that point, it's about what you want to do. You can go flat stick to the finish. Damien Clayton did so on Tuesday, being chased down. Lots of riders on the attack, lots of groups chasing. You can jump into a chasing group, try and stay with that group as long as you can. Or, of course, you can just ride at your own pace to the finish. There are no rules once go, go, go happens. But till that point, please, guys, make sure you stay with that yellow beacon as long as you can. If you are dropping off the bat and you do not need the support of Red, please give them a shout. Red will look after you unless you tell them otherwise. It's really important that you tell them that. So if you're jumping on, then the red beacons will be sweeping. We try and feature everybody in the gang on the show. Doesn't always work. And a quick reminder, remember, once we go over 100 riders on the line, we can't cover everybody, and you will not be able to see if you are on that ride, the front or the back, if you are basically more than 100 riders away from either. But you can always see the yellow and the red beacon. Now, our rider's going to be lined up. Nathan from Velobats down on that start line. I think we are going to jump in with him as we roll out from the start. So here we go. We're on the Donny Chaingang. We're rolling out and away. Jumping with Mr. Barr as well. So this is your run out from the line. And remember, guys, you need to make sure you follow the control, the signals coming from our yellow beacon. And that is Russ Downing. Russ taking the gang out, and hopefully all of these riders on the move and keeping this all together as they go out and away. Looks like Neil from the Crosscast is on here as well from Gritty. And we're just going to try and keep a check on the last of those riders just coming out from the pens. So our riders just up and away, and remember, key here is to keep an eye out for where that start-finish line is. We're going to roll our way back to our red beacon. And it looks like Keith Richardson just rolling up and out. So out he goes. And remember, out and sweeping on his way out from those pens. Currently pushing 4.5. You can just see, we're going to take a little look. This is your start-finish line. So it is essentially going to be 2 full laps from here. So 2 laps to go for Keith as he hits the line. He's a little bit behind our yellow beacon. Now beacon in with that group of riders making the way around this outer loop at the moment. And you can just see a little bit lined out at the moment. Let's see if the group can get itself back together again. Pretty sharpish. Fortunately, everybody on. I think nobody left in those pens. Remember, if you are just joining, make sure you hit it with some speed. You'll get yourselves back in pretty quickly. If you're more than about 20 to 30 seconds behind, you aren't going to make it. Please jump out and jump back into the game that will get you back in with the group. So the riders heading out from those pens. I think Kai Davis on a bit of a chase here. Now this is one man who is more than quick enough to be able to get himself back up into that group. Kai, a regular rider on the Donny Chaingang, and just trying to get his way back in again. He's putting out 5.5 watts per kilo here, riding on that Tron bike. So a rider who's more than capable of winding himself back up into the group. So as we go out through the industrial complex, real Bond villain stuff this. We've said it before, we'll say it again, I'm sure, plenty of times. Keith, don't worry, Kai is coming at about 1,000,000 miles an hour. So Kai is like a rocket. You need to be ready to go, Keith, because Kai will come through at pace. He's one of our real fast riders. You can just see him coming up behind Keith here. So I think Keith's just getting a bit very aware that he has got a complete and utter rocket ship on its way. It's that fiery yellow bike. It is a Tron bike coming your way, Keith. And it is Kai Davis here in pursuit. You can see the yellow beacon just over the first bridge. Going to take that left-hand turn. And one of the key things on this route is that there are 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 sprints on each lap. 2 per small lap, 2 per big loop. And that means there are 4 opportunities each time we do a full circuit, and 8 in total to exchange those power-ups, to use those power-ups. We've got descents, ascents, we've got flat sections, we've got sections where basically every single power-up that you can think of will come in handy. So if you are just joining, make sure you give it a bit of speed, a bit of pedal. The late joint is in operation. You will get yourselves up and into the group. Keith's just about to see our red beacon coming rocketing up behind him. Here he comes, our red beacon just coming up. So Kai can see the red beacon. Here he goes, going through. And the rider's now going to motor the way, hopefully up and into the group. Looks like our lap counter just running in late. So remember, it is 2 full laps. We're going to basically do the inner circuit first, then we go on to the outer circuit. That is 2 complete laps. That means that it is 35.95 when we finish, and it's at the virtual arch just after the pens. You will no doubt get the 1 lap to go signal from the gang. Now, the back of this group just a little bit fractured at the moment. You can just see if we get our drone cam up in the sky. Our beacon just coming in, and then going to be pulling its way in and around on to the back, going up over the wooden boardwalks at the moment on 1080 a month. Here we're just dealing with Mr. Tunnicliffe. So interesting. Josh Corden apparently supposedly going to be in for a top 3 finish. Let's see if that's going to be the case. So let's see how everybody goes on. Kieran Brown just holding at the back here along with Jimmy Allen. Great job done by Jimmy. He was our beacon actually whilst Russ was away on Tuesday. So let's see, and if Jimmy, now that he's released from yellow beacon duties, can challenge up at the front. We should have Damien Clayton, registered for the day in the group. Mr. Oral in here, Eddie Dench in here, Tracy Seeley, Terminator 2.0 in here. Tracy, of course, riding on Tuesday and on the WOW DCG yesterday, which is out on Greater London Flat. Looks like Hutch in here, but the riders now heading back across on this sandy road section, so you can just see making their way on the way through. So really interesting scenery for our riders to go into the gorge at the moment. So the riders here on 1080 December, making the way in and through, keeping that group nice blob shaped, which is what we're looking for. So here we go. Riders rolling in and through, looking pretty composed, pretty close together, that group. Let's see how they're going to go. So interesting to see Josh Corden being tipped for the win. We'll see whether he's able to pull that out a little bit closer once we get that trigger point from Russ. Russ keeping everything under control at the moment. Our riders on the way in And remember, this now is going to be the climb section. This is the smaller climb here. So we go up this little climb. We're just going to try and take our drone without going through the middle of the rocks here. So this is the slight climb that is on the inshore edge. So going to be heading on the way in and through. Let's see how these riders are going to go. So just watching the riders up on to the climb. Remember, the place to be is around yellow. Where's the yellow? He's back there. As the saying goes, he's behind you. We're into panto season. The yellow beacon right at the back of the group. So this group at the moment just rolling the way up this climb. I don't think anybody doing silly what's it's in terms of numbers too much on the front. So you can see Tim Baggs on here. The riders just pushing the way up the climb. Good to see that Joe Munden on here. Joe will be pedaling, I can guarantee it, on the way up here. Looks like 0 Watts and 0 Rose just showing. I think that is a tech issue rather than that she's actually able to levitate the way up the climb. It looks like Xander just getting a dropout on his way through. So Dean Taylor tucked in at the back. So don't forget, if you're having tech issues, drop out, jump back in again. We're currently just on our way around the inside loop. And, starting to make our way on to that descent. Russ just at the back of this pack at the moment. Just making his way down. We're just going to take a little bit of a drop down to the back. I think that's going to be Andy Watson in there. Sherwood Pines rider, that's going to be Kieran Brown down with Russ at the moment. So our riders dropping down. They're going to then take the left-hand turn along that shoreline and then making the way in. So Russ's group just taking that left-hand turn. They're going to go back in and through the mangroves at the moment. A quick reminder, of course, we do the inner loop first, and we're on our way around to complete that inner loop. We'll be heading out onto the outer loop afterwards. So the riders taking the left-hand turn, left-hand side here. Remember, the inner loop is the one with the two short hills. The outer loop is the one with the big hill at the far end, and that is the hill that caused lots of damage last time round. The group looking super smooth as they go through here on the 1080 Oakley a week. The riders keeping on making their way back in and around, and you can just see as we pull up the sectors coming through that map on the right hand side. This is the run across as they make their way in and through. Just going to jump away from Santa because I think Santa's just got tech issues. Mr. Williams sat on his own at the moment, not quite sure why. But I suspect that is something to do with the rendering on Zwift at the moment. So Dale Williams literally sat on his own. A long way back actually down on this group. It looks like Dale I'd be doing a jump out and a jump back in again. It looks like Jimmy just rolling at the back of this group at the moment. He's getting tucked back in. As we go through the sprint, another chance to pick everything up. The Tide Pool sprint named after the little rocky pools of the shoreline there. Just coming around underneath the edge of the hillside here out on the right hand side of our road. So if we zoom out, you can just see the waterfall just on here. So taking the run across, and you can just see the riders making their way down the stepway, the steps that run up towards the top. Just heading back up. Our rider's about to take the left-hand turn in this group, which will bring them across. We're just riding in with Keith Richardson, our red beacon here. As we come in, the riders in front will be taking that left-hand turn at this junction. So left-hand turn, and then they're going to take a left turn almost immediately as we come through, and they're going to take the left-hand side of the industrial complex. And that is, again, another steep, nasty little climb. Really, really interesting route. This is going to be very interesting to see where Russ lets this go. because it's going to definitely change the makeup of the racing. So as we come in, this time we're going to go left. Next time we come here, we're going to go right round the outside. So at the moment, we're going to take this left-hand turn, and you can just see we're going to start making our way up. We've got that elevated roadway to go up and around the spiral. You can just see in front of our riders. So we're going to make our way in. We're then going to come up and around that spiral up on the wooden boardwalk. Then we're going to cut across. But these riders at the moment, just a little bit strung out here as that Wayne Barr just on the back there, just trying to give Keith Richardson a little bit of room for manoeuvre to get himself up into place. Not sure whether Keith is actually on a mountain bike. So it looks like Mr. Tunnicliffe just having a little bit of an issue on the way through. In with Dan Coleman. Good to see Dan back on the gun. Dan, lose the aero helmet, mate. Ain't going to make no difference on the Chaingang. Get the fresh air through your hair. You don't get the breeze going. Whilst you got any hair, I should know. Right, next up, the spiral ascent. That will bring our riders up towards the upper sections of the complex. And as you can see, these riders just making the way in and around the turn. You can just see this ramped section now kicking in 4% as you come in with the big concrete steps left-hand side. And then it's just going to do a spiral around. You can see it just going over that bridge immediately behind our riders at the moment. But this climb off-road, dusty, dirty. In fact, both climbs dusty and dirty. And the last climb is just as bad. A little bit further out and around. So at the moment, these are the riders on the ascent taking this left-hand sweeping turn. And if we take our drone cam out alongside Bobby Mason at the moment, this is going to be that little bit of ride just tucked nicely in with this group, the gang all the way in. So Mr. Runner, there's no point getting the council to sweep these. It's a private island. It's a James Bond villain's island. So therefore it's down to the private companies, and they're too busy concentrating on making profit to sweep the roads for you, mate. That's kind of how it works. So here we go. Riders onto the climb, making the way up the ascent, the dirty, dusty roads at the moment, putting extra drag onto the wheels as well, which is going to make life really tough for our riders. You can see this gang, though, holding together really well here at the moment. And if we get the helicopter up, you can see pretty much everybody together. Nobody taking too much of a fly off. Really difficult to actually get this pacing right. Bobby Mason doing a great job here, tucked in with the group here. And as these riders make the way up, they're going to start hitting the slabs and then going out on to that bridgeway. You can just see going underneath the industrial section. So our riders going up underneath the industrial complex at the moment, and just keeping a check as they go through. Just going to take a little bit of a roll back down this group and just see how we're going. Interesting to see a few people using power ups on this section. So just pushing a little bit here. Neil from the crosscast just in front of the chasing group here. Looks like Thompson, Davis, Fletch in here. Remember, we're sub 100, so you should be able to see the front and the rear of the entire group. Interesting to see. I think that's Thompson with a power up on there. Got the steamroller going. So Thompson with that steamroller going to be very effective actually on this kind of surface. Interesting to see that we've got an anvil on the way down as well. Here as we come dropping down 6%, and this should bring this group back together again. So don't forget, remember guys, it's all about getting together as a group. Now we're going to go back over this bridge. We've been over this bridge once before. We took a left turn this time. We are going to take a right hand turn. Let's jump in with a rear view of the person view that most people are using, which is number 2 on your keypad. And you can just see Tiff Fletcher in here. Now we go sweeping to the right. Whoever's just gone left is going to get pulled back by the wonders of Zwift, no doubt. So our riders on the way through. And this is a run through. Tiff just having to do a little bit of a push to get back in touch with the group here. So a few people with tech issues. We're only currently 15 minutes in, guys. So if in doubt, jump out, jump back in again if you're more than about 20 seconds behind the back of the group. Looks like Houston at the moment. Houston had a problem. We did have a problem. Kyle did have an issue this time. Now starting to make his way back into the groove. Looks like Keith just getting ready to give him a little bit of assistance. So Kyle Houston chasing Keith at the moment. So at the moment it is going to be Kyle chasing Keith, chasing Gary's going to be chasing Chris, chasing Andy Watson. Keith just putting in a big kick here just so that he can get on. And of course, remember, this is where things get interesting, because this is the big climb here. So this is the tough section that had our riders all over the place. This is the downhill on the route we used on Tuesday. It's the uphill this time round. It is steeper, it's sharper, it's shorter, it's nastier, but we still have that same flat section at the top. So the first time up this climb for our riders at the moment, the bunch are pretty much holding together. So a few people just having interesting moments out on the ride. Updates, it does pay if you have had an update to then reboot your PC. It makes a big difference on the way through. Doesn't work for everybody though, it has to be said. And just starting to see a few people just dropping off pace. Wayne Barr, one of those riders who we know has definitely got the pace to get on with the group. So let's see if we can keep on pushing on the way through. So Wayne's okay off the back. Keith just dropping back. Wayne's got plenty of power. That man's an absolute machine. Even better off-road than he is on. As you can just see Mr. Coleman just going back to go give some assistance. So Coleman in the group continuing to pull everybody in this climb. The foreshortening plus the gravel plus the sand, making things a little bit interesting here now that we've got the new routes released. It does make a big difference to our riders, but as you can see, making the way through the jungle. So the tail end of the bunch looking like this. The riders up in front in pretty much one Grupo Compacto. Not too spread out at the moment, which is what we want to see. Mr. Corden tucked in here as well, so you can see nicely in the back of this group. Currently 61 revs per minute, 146 beats per minute. The question will be, is he going to be looking like that as he comes up the climb next time round? Looks like Dean Taylor just started to be distanced a little bit on this climb. Disappeared off with a ghost there, I think. Mark Grant, not all that far off the pace. So Grant at the moment onto the climb. So Dale Williams struggling to see everyone but no leaderboard. Interesting moment. So Grant at the moment just distanced by that pack on the way, and looks like he's got a drop out now, so we're going to leave him be. Going to try and get off Mark on the way through and get in with one of the other riders, because if we're in with somebody when they have a tech issue, we get to follow them into whatever world their tech issue takes them. So in with Harry Hudson. So let's see where our riders headed. Just still making the way in and around. It's just climbing slightly at the moment, but what you will find is that our riders are about to hit that leveled section. Not all that far away, so basically it's going to be up and on this climb. It's still a 4% drag as the riders make the way up this section. They go, as you can see, top right-hand side, it snakes its way up and along this little section of mountain before coming in to that bridge section, going through the sprint once again. But looks like that group pretty much together. One or two riders just at the back there, and our Red Beacon going to have his work cut out today. It is a very tough route for our Reds today. So just riding in with Harry Hudson, one of our young superstars who are out on the Chaingang and looking good at the moment. Harry, no surprises there, he's one of our super fast riders. Very quick on the way in and through, and certainly looks at the moment like he's nicely tucked in. Not going to be going anywhere too quickly. So let's see how he gets on. Just taking a little bit of a check through. Now you can see Mark Chamberlain in here. Mark, of course, the wizard with all things Donny Chaingang website. And thank you very much, Mark, for your assistance. One of the big army of people who keep the gang rolling on the road. Now, here we go. Coming in to the top. So this is basically the long run across the top of the course. You can see the gangs going on to the bridge here. And this section is the section up at the high point of the course. We're going to be heading back down and around. We basically have traversed our way around. You can see the road running back across below us, and that is the road we've taken earlier on the smaller inner loop that has brought us in and round. You can just see we're going to come towards the end and then drop back down again. So let's see how these riders run. Remember, of course, if you do get a power up that you don't want, get it dumped, get it dropped, going to make a real difference. There are no flat Thursdays. There's no flat Tuesdays, no flat on this new section of route. Actually, there is quite a bit of flat, to be fair, but not enough to have a flat Thursday as such. So Keith Richardson chasing Kieran Brown. Kieran Brown on the way towards Kyle Rafferty. Then it's going to be Mr. Rumble. Not Mr. Tumble, Mr. Rumble. Those of you with small children will appreciate that, and those who haven't will have no idea what I'm talking about. So David Rumble on his way down. Then it's going to be Ken Rafferty. Ken chasing Ferren at the moment. That's Sean Ferren, who is right on the heels actually of Russ Downing on this descent. But looks like the group descending at enough pace to lose a few riders off the back of that pack. So Kieran Brown's one guy is going to get super fast. You can just see Richardson on the descent. Then it's going to be Kieran Brown. Then it's going to be David Rumble. Then it's going to be Ken Rafferty. Super fast down this long tarmac descent here. You got basically going on this route. You got the grimy gravel climb and then the fast tarmac descent down. Do this route in the opposite direction. It's a very different beast altogether. And riders get a little taste of that last time around. So we're just down with our leading group. Muncaster at the moment, 5 seconds back to Rafferty, 13 to Brown, 23 to Keith Richardson. Our red beacon, this pack rolling along nicely at the moment. Just riding in with Muncaster at the moment. That's Lewis Muncaster. So Lewis nicely in this group of 90 plus riders. Only a few riders not in the mix here as they come in and through. And remember, this is the drop down. We're going to take a right hand turn here, and this will take us basically down the sides, coming down what is the face down past about 10 o'clock through past 9 o'clock past 8 o'clock on the way in and through. But remember, of course, that our riders this time will be going to the right hand side of the mini island on the way in and through. So it is about making sure you go to the right hand side. Left hand side has a climb, it's used on the inside loop. The right hand side doesn't. Currently, as you can see, our ride is 25 minutes in, 13.5k, and we're on a section of road we've used basically previously as we run away from the waterfalls and the village on the side of the hill. We're going to be coming around. We're going to be coming in to the T-junction just ahead. We've got a slight right, a 90 left coming up. You can just see around the side of the boulder. This group going to be coming around there. So into the turn, you go round that left-hand turn, and then you come into the T-junction. Last time we were here, we went left. This time, we're going to go right, which is the flatter of the two routes. So the bunch should go right at this point. Fingers crossed it happens. Oh, look at that. There it goes. Anyone would think I've done my homework knowing where this route goes. And out and around the side of the mangroves, swamps, real... as we said, Bond villain stuff, like the islands on a James Bond movie with the mangroves. Coming in, just taking that right-hand turn, just cutting our way in, only just above the water level here as we come in and through. Then we're going to be coming back around the side of the island, a big full-on turn here onto the sand, and the terrain changing underneath our riders' wheels. Few riders distanced off the back of the group because of the pace on the front of that group. It looks like nobody suffering too much, I don't think, on the way through. So the riders making the way in and through. Just going to take a look at who's just been distanced off that group. Looks like Derbyshire County Council looking after the road. Looks like their efforts to try and fix bridleways that are absolutely superb have been around for centuries. And then they put down some really nice fine 0 to 20 grit and sand basically in. And then oddly enough, it all gets washed away after they've destroyed what has been centuries old green road, centuries old pack horse track. Dig it all up, make it accessible, and you know what? Then get it all washed away in the first season of use. Then guess what they can do? They can tarmac it because it's then unsafe. What a set of plonkers. Not that I'm passionate about it, but why destroy an old bridleway route that has been used for horses for years, for mountain bikers and riders, and then go make it all PC and trash it, and then it becomes unusable, and then tarmac over it. Absolute Muppets. Muppets. I mean, we wouldn't just get the Muppet Show played, they'd be condemned to Muppet Show hell and have it played in front of them in videos, in front of their eyeballs, strapped down to a chair, to be honest. Bitter? Just a little. On my soapbox? Yeah, might be. Justifiably? Definitely. So the bunch just starting to shed a few bodies off the back of this group. We're just seeing one or two riders behind here. So Richardson trying to sweep at the back. Yeah, Mr. Ball, don't get you started on it. Tell me about it, buddy. I'll tell you something. The gang at the track destruction centre that is Derbyshire Council is doing a great job of destroying bridleways. Literally centuries of history. Old farm tracks that have connected communities for century after century, just basically torn up and buried under fine grit that gets washed away the moment we have a storm. The average lifespan being 2 years. So don't get me started on it. Espouse for a long, long time. Professionals who use the stuff predict how long it's going to last when it's been put in like it has, and they're all saying the same. Won't be around for very long, and then hopefully what's left is better, but it's not. It's absolutely destroyed. Anyway, back to the Chaingang. Our rider's currently on the Sunday section of this. Mr. Tunnicliffe on his way in and through, and you can just see these riders going to be coming along this traverse and taking, guess what, a left-hand turn. And then they're going to go take a right-hand turn, and this should take them around to the section that will bring them back on to the start-finish line. Looks like Ken just in danger of being swept. It's going to be the Red Bacon who's going to be after him at the moment. The gang at the tail end of the gang just being held by Tiff Fletcher. I'm not going to watch Mr. Williams going around those two because he could end up anywhere. Running out of time, actually. It's 29 minutes in to do a restart on his way through. So the gang coming in, and we're now going to take a right-hand turn this time, and this will take us out on to the section of road that takes us around towards the Pens. You can see them on the top right-hand side of the map. You're going to be able to see them in a moment from the riders. Out there, you can just see the pillars out there. You can see the flashing go, go, go symbol out there. No, Russ hasn't said it. That's just where we're heading. It is the start. That's where it actually originally used on Zwift, was in the Pens to set you off and chalked on to the tarmac. Also used by the guys on the start of cyclocross races at the traffic light system there as well. Been used there for a number of years. So a very popular symbol, but of course there is only one Donny Chaingang signal that was given by our yellow beacon. So the riders in through and about to come round this loop. You can just see the Pens out in the distance there, and the riders actually with quite a long loop to come in. This is the run into the finish as well, so really interesting. It's a pancake flat run to the finish. Once you come down off the big climb, you've got a long run down and in. So in terms of attacking points, it's really, really flat on the run-in. We're at 4% on the way through here, but this, compared to that big climb that takes you out and round, is next to nothing at the moment. We're going to come off this little loop and drop down and in but this is not going to realistically test the big guns out there, I don't think. So coming around the loop, we're going to take the sharp right-hand turn, and we'll start weaving around the side of the complex. Haven't yet actually got to the junction point where the pens come in. That's a little bit further round yet. So that climb just doing enough to just do a bit of damage in the group there on the front. There's the pace pretty hot on the front there, and this pack getting just spread out. Hopefully it'll just start to come back together again as we go through the past that pen access point. That's going to be on the right hand side. You can just see the bridge coming in. So we're about to go past the pens, and that means this is basically the last 150 meters is the theory from the pen access point to the beacon. And I'll tell you something, this finish is going to be tricky. Let's drop in with our riders. The riders only see this gantry coming through. So 1 lap to go. 1 lap to go on the run in. So 1 more lap to go for our riders as they go out. That is a small inner loop and a big outer loop to go. So we are on less than 1 lap to go in through the finish at the moment. This group, if we get the helicopter up, just about holding back together again. There are a number of riders just distanced off the back. Matt Nunn, you are not redundant, believe me. 90% of people don't even watch the footage. They'll watch it afterwards. A number of people said they can't see on the way through. So here we go. The riders up underneath the top of the concrete structure. Now underneath that big platform that runs over the top, they're just making the way down, and you can just see the big clawed hand as a robot arm sticking out from underneath the factory lid there. So the group at the moment continuing to roll. 32, nearly 33 minutes in, 18k in, over half the distance covered now. We're just riding in with Richardson at the moment. So it looks like Claire Richardson, AEO rider, regular on the Chaingang. I'm not sure, Claire, are you a new recruit to AEO? I can't remember seeing Claire on the roster. Not that I get access to such things. It's good to see Claire in the jersey of AEO. I'll tell you something, if she is a new recruit, it makes that squad even more formidable than before, with riders across all categories from Premier League right the way up and through. So the riders on the bridge are going to take the left-hand turn here, go across underneath the waterfalls. They're going to turn left here. This was the run down through the finish on Tuesday. This will be their last time in through and over the long wooden bridge here on the route today. So in they go on to the long bridge. Now this was the run to the finish. Last time round we saw a certain Mr. Clayton in action, looking incredibly strong. Managed to drop everybody on running through. What's going to happen today? Be very interested to see who's going to take it on. Just seeing the yellow beacon just dropping off the back of that group once again. But this group starting to splinter. Claire Jessup, Stefano Borelli, Stefano just being distanced, Carl Johnson, Ken Rafferty, all being chased by our Red Beacon. I'm not sure if Keith's actually on the mountain bike today. I think it's going to be really interesting to see, because I think he's putting out some serious numbers and not making many inroads in on most of the circuit here today. So our riders just being distanced one after the other at the moment. Kieran Brown just rolling. Just rolling along with Russ as they come up onto the back. Russ just dropping that steamroller down. So the back of that group just working its way in together. So we're just asking Russ if he's okay. Got to love the Chaingang. Everyone asks everybody if they're okay, even if they're Russ Downing. Great to see. So Chris Canham and Vin Donahoe are just on the back of that pack. Canham and Donahoe just rolling up on to the back. So here we go. taking that left-hand turn. I love the fact that Neil is working out essentially in the old barn. So puffer jacket is usually finally removed and toes like icicles. I'm not surprised, mate. It's Baltic out there today. So our riders are rolling back around to this intersection. Remember, we're going to take the left-hand turn that's coming up in front of them. It will be a mini climb up. It's going to be the little section of the climb. So Neil used to live in the Baltic, and apparently it really is Baltic there today. Little known fact. So just seeing these groups forming. Looks like Carl and Stefano are just getting themselves together as a group here. Nice to see Stefano riding on that Tron bike. In fact, both our riders up on here. On Tron bikes. I think they're going to collect Claire on the way through. Claire also on a Tron bike, and Claire going to see that group coming behind. It's a good group to jump in with, to be honest. Ken, if you got these riders in front, it'd be worth chasing to get back in with them. Andy Caldwell just on the back of this group. He is actually pedaling. It's just a glitch in the system. You don't roll in through the group going uphill without actually pedaling your way up there. So Caldwell making his way up. Finn just on the back of the pack. Remember, this is the third to last climb. The penultimate climb will be the small climb up through the industrial units and through the big industrial works. The final climb will be the big climb up the gravel road up onto the high point of the course, and from there it's basically downhill to the finish with a tiny itsy bitsy drag just before the finish line that really isn't going to bother anybody who's got the skills, pace and power to climb the hills and stay with the front. So here we go on the drop down. So Joe tucked in here, Steve Hilbert in, Dan Coleman, Steve Wilson, Lone Rider. Looks like Simon Martin, Mark Chaingang still on in here. So Doug Main, let's have a little look at Mr. Thornley. Really interesting lowest resting heart rates that are getting put up there. Interesting to see. So left-hand turn taken, which means that we're now going to run along the shoreline and head back in towards the industrial units. Russ with the lowest resting heart rate when he was fit at 29. My brother used to have a resting heart rate of 29. It's quite scary, he said, that his resting heart rate when it was that low. That's like one every 2 seconds, a beat every 2 seconds. So here we go, the run in through the tie pool sprint at the back. Our helicopter just showing this group, or what is left of it, all together on the way through. 42 this week from Neil as he goes in and through. I think Neil's and mine very, very similar this week, to be honest. So riding with Steve, who's in with the gang as they make their way away from that tide pool sprint, just heading down alongside the mountain here. That's a run down from the rather nice houses up at the top of the hillside. So along the shoreline we go. So into the T junction. Oh, loving that shot. Definitely a glitchy moment there. Then he come around that left-hand turn, and this goes in that one. Steve tucks into the group. This the leading group. We have one more climb before we move on to the final big climb, the last climb of the day. It's going to be up this industrial section. It's out to the left. Our rider's going to go around the left-hand side. As I think we are going to get exactly what everybody else has just been having a moment at the moment. Just going in and through. So onto that left-hand turn we're going to be, and the go has gone. It's before the climb. Really interesting. So the pressure is straight away on here because the riders have gone for this. Russ actually at the back of that group, which I think has caught a number of riders out. They weren't expecting Russ to call it, as they came in with Russ at the back of the pack. And that means the riders really are having to move here to get up to the front. So here we go. Kai Davis, we said he was quick. We said he didn't need help getting back into the group. He's on his way up the climb. Not sure who's dropping an anvil on the way uphill. Ain't gonna work on an uphill. So here we go. The riders on the way through. Pushing up the climb, a fair few feathers being used, some steamrollers going in as well to try and ease this climb up on the front. You can just see, I think it's going to be Neil from the Crosscast who's got them behind him as he's pushed up to the front. He's got that steamroller in gear, and look at this. Going to be really interesting to see who's up with that leading group. They're spread all the way around the spiral. Just going to try and get a helicopter view as they come up and round. So Foggy up here, we've got Oxenham up in the mix. We've got Jimmy Allen in here as well. Rob Varty, we've got Carl Houston in here. Dan Coleman, Spencer's in, Woodall's in. Nathan from Velabad's just about holding the wheels. Got Williams in, Taylor, Hudson, Shop, and I think that call from Russ coming when it did has caught a number of people napping. If we take the camera, look at the damage that's been done. It's a massive long line of riders behind. It's a long line in front. It's spread out all the way across here. This is the descent down. It's dusty, it's dirty, and this is going to be very, very quick indeed as our riders start to descend down. So here we go. The rip up has started well and truly. The leading group chasing Hutch at the moment, who is just on the front. Hudson in there. Looks like Ryan Williams in the mix. Neil from Gritty in here. We've got Kai Davis in as well. At the moment, this group is looking pretty smooth on its way through here. It's a leading group of riders, got a little bit of distance. They've formed a pack, and a lot of very familiar names in here. Interesting to see that we've still got Joe Munden in this group for the Toyota Cryo squad, and we're now going to make our way up on to the big climb, and this could be where it really starts to hurt our riders, because this leading group are onto the big climb. This is where it's going to count. You can see we've got Foggy, we've got Kieran Brown in here, we've got Rob Vart, Kai Davis in this group as well. Neil from the Crosscast is in here, Joe Munden in here, Ryan Williams, who we're riding with at the moment. We've got Jimmy Allen in with the pack. Looks like Dan Coleman has made the mix as well. But this is about keeping with the leaders as they start to wind this up on to the hillside. Let's see who's going to take this out. It's going to be very interesting to see who's got the speed as they come up here. Big watts coming out from Foggy up on the top of the climb, and this group is starting to fracture once again. So at the moment, these riders really having to get a squeeze on to stay with those leading riders. It's all over the place at the moment. So who's going to take this out? Who has got the pace and power to stay clear of the rest of those riders? Dan Coleman at the moment heading up the leading group of riders. So Ryan Williams, Dan Coleman, Foggy. It's going to be Kyle Houston. It's going to be John Wild. It's going to be Kieran Brown in there. Kai Davis just distanced a little bit, just on a chase here. You can see he's going to get in a big kick from him. Harry Hudson, the unbeatable Hudson for so many weeks at the moment, having a hard time. Harry, don't worry, you got plenty of time to get it back. You're only 15 years old. Behind him, he's got Oxenham. You've got Rob Varty trying to push his way in and across. Jimmy Allen, Neil from Crosscast, Hutch, Spencer, Balm, Munda, Muncaster, Woodall, Breen, Barker, and Co. In this group, it is going to be one incredible finish. This is a very, very select group. So we have currently got 7 riders in the lead. At the top of the climb, Ryan Williams, Foggy, Kyle Houston, going to be Kieran Brown, John Wild, Dan Coleman, Kai Davis. 6 seconds back, Harry Hudson. Now at 8 seconds, then it's going to be Oxenham, who's chasing Hudson, Varty, Allen, Neil from the Crosscast in this group. But the leading group of riders, 7 riders together. Going to be very interesting to see if this splits at all. We have one more climb. So at the moment, as we go in and through, this is our leaders. This is a 300 meters run in towards the top here, in towards the gantry, and then they're going to drop all the way down to the bottom. So here we go. This is the run across the top. We have our leaders, currently 7 riders strong, a real who's who of riders on the Chaingang. They're then going to drop off the side of this hillside, drop down to sea level, make the way in. They're still going to have that last little kicker on the way through, but this really is the final big hill. It's a mini drag as they come through, but this means because they've got a big pack of riders, the second group on the road, I don't think it's big. No, 4 riders are going to need some reinforcements. Nathan from Velbats in here. Now this could be the pack that makes the difference. This is the riders who are currently riding from about 15th through to 25th place. They need to get a squeeze on here, because if these guys can work the way up to the riders in front, Hutch at 15 seconds, Neil at about 19 seconds up the road, Oxenham at about 23. If they can get back with Rob Varty, Jimmy Allen, Coleman and Hudson, they then have a chance, because it will be 20-some versus the 7 that are in the lead. But this is a game of numbers as much as it is about anything else at this stage, because we don't really have any major ascent. So draft is going to be key. Aero is going to be key. These riders are on the descent at the moment. These are your leaders heading down the hillside at the moment. So it is Houston, Wild, Williams, Coleman, Davis. It's going to be rider in there. It's going to be Foggy in there as well. Just keeping an eye on them as they drop down here. They've got that little bit of a gap on the chasers behind, but can they make this stick? They've got to keep on pushing, because it's basically flatlands all the way into the finish. They are chasing riders out and around the course. Remember, of course, we have our red beacon. He's not actually going to be all that far out on the course ahead. At the moment, though, Kieran Brown just depositing the rest of the riders in his wake. And that is partly because of the pace and speed he's carried off the top. It's partly because he knows exactly how to ride this. So Kieran Brown at the moment is in the lead. It's about 2 seconds back to Dan Coleman of Fronto Bikes, who's coming after him. The riders behind not putting in that effort, relying on Coleman to close the gap down. So here they come. This is that chasing group. They've got back Kieran Brown in the green jersey there as they come in and through. They're going to take the right-hand turn. So they're past where our course came through last night. Now Ryan Williams on the offensive, goes out at 11.3 watts per kilo. Can he make this? It's a long way to the finish. Remember, it's flat into this finish. Is at 31.2. We're going out at 35.95, should be our finishing marker. But at the moment, this brand new route, of course, could well throw up a surprise there as well. So Ryan Williams with the gap. Behind it is going to be Pronto Bikes rider left in pursuit. Now it's Houston who goes over the top. But those riders behind need to get their act together. 3 seconds at the moment from Ryan Williams back as he comes around these twists and turns. He's going to take the right-hand turn at the T-junction, and that will bring him around the flatter section as he goes into the turns here. And behind it looks like Foggy having to do the work, but Ryan Williams it is who's got the lead at the moment. So Williams from Foggy putting in a big old burst of speed here to try and get in and across the gap. You can just see as they come out, those 2 dots ahead of the 5 chases behind as they make their way in and through at the moment. Foggy putting some serious power in, and I think in the fog of the mangroves he's got on to Orion's wheel. Now this is 2 real strong riders clear of a chasing group of incredible riders, so this is going to be really interesting. Foggy in the lead. Ryan Williams needs to take a little bit of a turn, but look behind. Brown, Coleman, Wild, Houston and Davis, they are spread out at the moment. They need to work together. They can see their target in front, and I think they're going to get them here. So you can't afford to get distance. So here we go. Going to take a left-hand turn here along the shoreline. They're going to go past the Typool sprint banner. They're going to take a left and a right-hand turn into that virtual banner as Davis is just clear on the front at the moment. He takes that left-hand turn. He's about 20 meters gap on the riders behind. It's not a huge amount, but it is going to make them work behind him. So across the foreshore they go. They're going to have the houses up high on the right-hand side of our riders' groups, all spread out behind it. The nearest group is 54 seconds back. That is Oxenham, Allen, Varsi and Hudson. And they are the nearest group to the chasing group, immediately behind Kai Davis. So Kai Davis leading the chase on behind. They've got to make this group come back to him. At the moment he's doing a lot of work solo. The chase being led by Coleman, Houston, Brown. But realistically, they're across the road. They should just about pull him at this moment in time. So we're going to have the suspects all back together again. All those riders who are in with a potential chance of coming through, taking a victory here as they come in towards this left-hand turn. They'll then have the right and the run into the finish. Time ticking out for a solo attack. It could well come down to a sprint here. It's going to be really interesting to see just what they manage. So into the zigzag section they go. There's going to be that left-hand turn. So across that baked hard sand, our riders absolutely rocketing. Just in with Dan Coleman at the moment. You've got Foggy, you've got Williams, you've got Davies, you've got Brown, you've got Wild in here as well. I'll tell you something, John Wild is the old man of this group. He's definitely could well spring a surprise on the youngsters here if he's got more strength. We've seen Coleman, of course, when he's on form, is unstoppable as well. Ryan Williams got a good kick on him. Not sure who it's going to be. But barring an alien abduction, it's going to be one of these riders. So we've got to make our way through the twists and turns, go past the entrance to the pens. It's about 150 meters further round. Remember that virtual banner, very, very difficult to spot on your way in. Now leading a group of riders still all together at this stage. Nobody going clear. Remember, once they go, I think now realistically you've got to attack and go all the way into the finish. We do have that sharp right-hand turn just before we go towards the pens at the end of that long, draggy boardwalk section. It's going to come up in a minute. So they're going to sweep to the right. They're going to then turn to the left, and then you're going to have that long little drag. Foggy on the attack, though. Foggy going for it off the front here. He knows how far out he wants to go. Brown is responding. They can't let him go. And they're on to this little draggy climb here. So you can just see these riders making the way up here. Foggy leading them out up this little bit of a climb. Coleman's responding. So is Brown. Williams, Wild, Davis are all in the mix. It looks to be like Houston has definitely got a problem. He's off the pace now as Davis is going to come on to the heels of Foggy. Has Foggy blown it? Has he gone too early? Has the Red Mist descended far too early in his thinking as Davis goes over the top here? Can he get a gap? We're going to come around the left-hand turn. Here we go. This is interesting. We've only got about 5 riders. It's Davis in the white and grey. Then it's going to be Coleman, who goes over the top in the blue with a black aero helmet on. Ryan Williams is in that grey and blue camo outfit coming behind. There's not far to go. This is the run for the line. Here we go. Ryan Williams is going to take it. Williams gets it. Then it's Coleman, followed by Wild, followed by Brown, followed by Foggy, followed by Davis. They come through in that order. Great ride there by Ryan Williams, timing it to perfection. He rolled him 10 meters before the line. Then it's going to be Carl Houston coming through. Good riding by him. Neil from the crosscast leading out the next group at the moment. Can he hold them off behind him? They're coming for him. He's not got far to hold on, about 150 meters. Neil, come on, you need to sprint now, mate. You've got to go, 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 because they're coming for you. You've got Oxenham on his wheel, and I think he's going to come through to roll him. It's going to be tight, though, as they come into the line. Look at this kick from Harry Hudson. Hudson takes it from Oxenham. Taylor, Farty, Barr. It's going to be Neil from the crosscast. Joe Munden coming in with that pack as well. First female finisher on the Chaingang comes through with that second group of riders. Barker coming in and through as well. It is a real who's who of riders. Matt Nunn coming around the turns. He's going to be the next rider to see that finishing line. I think he's got Tunnicliffe in front of him. But this is the run in. The finish is coming. Who's going to go? Oh, look at this little kick from Nathan from Bellabats, who I think took that as he goes through. Absolutely amazing ride as they go in. Rich Orrell and co coming for the line. We're going to try and get with the riders that come in to the finish. So a bar out and around the turn here. It looks to me like this is going to be that little bit of a kick inside and run it turning around there. So just making the way in and through the line. Remember, this is a tough day at the office for everybody as they come in through. We're going to try and drop back to see. It's going to be John Hyde chasing the riders going through. Then it's going to be Claire Richardson, second of our female riders. Claire going in and through there. Great ride. That was absolutely a mental finish there with Clark Wilson. Donny is going to be our next rider in. Then it's going to be Forbes. It's going to be Tracy Fletcher sprinting for this, just picked by Forbes. Then it's going to be Martin. Tracy Seeley coming in the line. Faulted Bags going through. Garfer, I think, in that group as well. Hurst goes through the line of Kai, just going in ahead of Thompson and Dench. They're going to be our next riders into the finish. Interesting little route with that sort of double inner loop, outer loop, inner loop, outer loop. Interesting to see who's taken that now. Here we go. Is it going to be Dench who's going to get this? Is it going to be Thompson? And here comes the gantry sprint. Last minute sprint by Dench. I think he's going to snatch it from Thompson. Then it's going to be this next kick now. Some real big sprinters in here. Chris Canham has got some serious power. Wimble in here as well for the Drogon team. Steve Hilbert in this group as well. They're going to come around this turn. Remember, once you hit the pen line, you're at 150 meters. They're leaving it late. I'm not sure everybody's got this route dialed. It's going to be about who can snatch a victory here. Now Canham starts to wind it up. We said he got a big kick on him. Here comes the line. He's going to be coming into towards it. You can see it's going to be Canham who's going to take this. He takes the line there from Rob Wimble, Rich Langmead, Steve Hilbert, and then it's going to be Thornley coming through behind. Then it's going to be the chasing group. It's going to be Lowe and Gang. So they are coming through thick and fast on the Chaingang. low with Grant right behind him here. He's got Bobby Mason in here as well. You've got Canada as well. This is going to be an interesting finish here. So has Mason got the kick? He's got to kick now. He's got to kick hard. 150 metres. It is one of those nasty, nasty finishes that you don't see to the last minute. But somebody's got a right kick on him here. It's Pattison, I think, who's got the timing right. He went from behind. He used the draft of the group to go through. He's going to see the gantry. He puts an extra kick in here. He's got the gap. Great timing. And that, I think, is a route to come back to when we see the riders coming in and through the line, and they get that course dialed. That is going to make for some frantic riding in to the finish. Next rider is going to be Sir Rodney, who's going to come ahead of Ferron, just edges him out. Then it's Caldwell, then Levers, Brunston a little bit further down. So Levers just going in through with that duo with Caldwell as well. Brunston at 1:12 down, which means he's just coming into this last section. He's got Knott and I think it's going to be Knott behind. Then it's going to be Hayward and Forey who are together. Looks like Russ rolling his way down a little bit further down through the course here, but not starting to push. He's really got a kick here. He's got to work hard. Come on, Alfie. You've got to make this count. Mike, you need to kick now. It's Mike Brunston in front. I think he's going to get rolled here. He has now. Can Alfie not hold this to the line? He's got a left-right chicane. And then the left, you can just see the green of the gantry peeping out behind through the pipework. But I think Alfie Knott is going to get this. He's got the gap then on Brunston at the moment. So Mike Brunston comes in immediately behind. Great riding by these riders. Next rider's coming in. They're not that far out. It's Forey and Hayward. Well, really difficult sprint to get right. Really difficult sprint to get the timing spot on. Only one look for most of these riders before on the way through. So it looks like Forey with Hayward are going to be our next two riders in to the finish to come around these turns. Who's got the kick right? I think it's going to be really close here. Hayward's winding it up on the outside. They're going to be almost side by side as they come into the gantry here. It's going to be Hayward who's just going to take it from Forey. And he go through. Persona G going to be our next rider to the line. Then it's going to be Kevin Rafferty. Then Russ and Co. still a long way out from that line. So it's going to be Persona G who's going to come through next. So a busy day out on the Chaingang today with our next rider. It's going to be Persona G, one of our regular riders on the Chaingang. And, oh, he goes into the finish as well. Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky stuff. He's in there somewhere. Let's wait until he reappears in front of us coming into the line. He's over the line. Pops up. There we go. Nice timing. He goes in and through the finish there. Gets, no doubt, another power-up and a roll down into the finish. Next up is going to be Ken Rafferty. Ken on his way in to that finishing line. So good riding by Ken. Well done, buddy. Ken going in and through the line. And that means that we're going to have a little bit of a gap to the next rider who's coming in. Russ on a poodle, which is quite nice to see. Quite like it when Russ has a nice, easy day at the office. Shows that he is human after all. So Russ on his way in to the line. Quick reminder, make sure you join the DCG gang, the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club, particularly this month because 3 Oakleys up for grabs. You've got to be in before the middle of the month when it automatically shuts down December membership. Don't forget, of course, if you want a Christmas present, we have memberships that run to the end of the season. If you grab hold of one of those, great Christmas present for somebody, it means that you get all of the links as well as access to all of those giveaways and the big discounts that are there for all of our riders. So Russ going to be our next rider in to the line. Let's jump back in with Russ, our yellow beacon. And of course, of the Donny Chaingang in a virtual world and a co-production between Russ and myself since we started a long, long time ago. But it's going to be Russ coming in. Good to see Russ got the tash right as well. Looks like Carl Johnson going to try and take him out on the line. Come on, Carl, it's your chance to roll Russ on the line. I think you're going to do well, though. Russ with a final little kick. Nearly taken there by Johnson. Johnson putting in a big kick into the finish, but Russ comes in and through. Then it's going to be Claire Jessup. Jessup, our next rider, on the way in to the finish, just coming past those pens at 150 metres to go marker before the finish. And Russ's beacon just heading away from the archway out into the distance. So Claire, our next rider coming through the finish, going to be coming underneath that virtual gantry here in Mercury House on our new route, one of our newer routes, as we see our two riders. This is the bus. It's going to be Stefano Barali and Keith Richardson just on that climb up at the moment. Don't forget, of course, Nonnas. Looking after riders, members of the DCG gang. And I've got to say a massive thank you to Stefano and to Maurizio as well. Always looking after riders, always looking after bike rides, and doing lots of work behind the scenes. And of course, we're going to be bringing some great giveaways from them. They're going to be around in March, to give you a heads up. I think it's the March month, which is Classics month, to tie in with things like Strada Bianchi, Milan San Remo, etc. January is going to be our Velaskin month. We're going to have Continental coming in on February. We're going to have Nonnas in March. And April, it's going to be a surprise. I know who it is. They know who it is, but that's about it. So going to be great to see them come in. It is going to be one of our previous month's supporters coming back. But at the moment, we are right in the middle of the week of the end of our second week, but only one ride last week. So the fourth ride as part of the Donny Chaingang, as part of the 1080 December. Our riders, the Red Beacon, about to come in towards the finish along with Stefano. Is Stefano going to have the final kick here, the final say? And he's there in his Squadra jersey, as you would expect, riding on the Tron bike today. Good move, I think. Given the course into the gantry they come. Oh, look at this. Keith's going to push him all the way into the line. So Stefano goes in through the line. Then it is Keith Richardson, our Red Beacon, coming in and through on that mountain bike. So as our riders start to make the way out, I'm going to say a massive thank you to everybody who's joined so far. Don't forget, please make sure you donate. Join it. It helps us keep the show on the road. All the streaming, the re-streaming costs, the hosting, etc. That is basically integral to the Chaingang. We don't use it for anything else. We don't use it for the commentary that we do. We don't use it for any of the other shows. It is dedicated to the Chaingang. And all that money that we get here at Full Speed Events goes into running the Chaingang. So great to do that. Don't forget, of course, you can catch up with me and with Emma. We are going to be streaming on Sunday. Had to put my brain in gear. On Sunday, we're then going to be back with the Chaingang on Tuesday. Wow DCG on Wednesday. We were on Travel Day on Thursday, and then we'll be back on the Sunday. And we're going to run right the way in through to Christmas. We're actually working on Christmas Day and Boxing Day. No, Christmas Day and New Year's Day this year. So I think we might be celebrating the solstice instead, to be honest. I think that falls on a day we're not working, to be honest. I've kind of lost the plot completely with what day is what. Don't forget, of course, to keep up with all of the guys up here who look after the gang. Gritty, who are looking after our riders last month. Halo before them. OTE kicking off the season. And big discounts, of course, to our riders, members of the DCG gang. Don't forget to give us a follow. It's Matt Fix the Pain on Facebook, Strava, Zwift, and everything else under the sun. It's Full Speed Events for myself, Emma, and all of the gang who bring you the production. Don't forget to give Russ a follow, Fonzie Downing, and of course Downing Cycling. And don't forget, of course, to follow the Donny Chaingang on any kind of platform that you can lay your hands on. We'll be back next week with Donny Chaingang. Catch up with us so you can find the details of where we're going to be next on our social media feeds. But from myself, from Russ, from Keith, our Red Beat, from everybody on the Chaingang, stay safe, enjoy your riding. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.